Greetings, brothers and sisters. Hi, my name is Christina Krause and I'm here with Vicki Kangas. And we have a special workshop for you on nursery. So all of you who have a nursery section in your church where you're taking care of babies up to 4, maybe, or 3, this is to help you with this nursery section. And we have this book here, Taking Care of the Nursery, written by Angie Kangas. So we're looking at these ideas from Angie. Thank you, Angie. And Vicki is going to be here helping present this workshop. Thank you, Vicki.
Thank you, Christy. And thank you, Angie, for writing this. She is so knowledgeable and trained in this department. Although I have training in teaching, it didn't cover that age group. So we're talking early preschool. And I want to first point out that people who work in the nursery are not providing a babysitting service.
Right.
They're often viewed as a place to put the children so their crying doesn't interrupt the preaching, and the parents can sit and listen in comfort. And that is not the purpose of the nursery. The nursery can teach children and lay a foundation that later teachers can build on, and it can introduce the idea that God loves me. And this is important to introduce at a very early age. And you can start as soon as the children can understand the language.
Very good.
So the first thing that I'm going to be teaching all about the responsibilities of the director for the nursery department in your church.
That's nice too. Just remember, it's the director, not necessarily a workshop exactly for the teachers, although they can get a lot of ideas from this workshop. But for you as a director, how can you make a good nursery department?
True. The first responsibility in the first section I'm going to cover is all about safety.
Very good. So we got some
Safety
things over
is
here.
very, very important. The first thing that we have to do is record each child's name and a number so that you can contact their parents. Should an accident occur or anything happen, you need to have name tags. Will you hand me a name tag? These are very simple ones that you can get so that you can put you may not be able to see it, but it has the child's name and a number. You can pick any number. You're going to put that on the front like a person. No. In the nursery, it goes on the back.
Oh!
Because you know the children will pick at it and they'll be peeling it off.
Yes.
And then it'll go in their mouth. So for the nursery worker, it goes on the student's back.
On the back.
Like I'm doing to Christy. And then I will have a number here it could be a phone number for mom who's in the service, so I can call her. Or it could be, you can make up a number. This is child number 1. And you give the same piece of paper, a little slip with the number to the parent. So when they come back to pick up the child, the 2 numbers match. And it's important that you are aware that in some situations, there are people who are not allowed to pick up the child. And there might be a divorce, and there might be a dad who wants to steal the child while mom's in church. So you have to be aware of who has that piece of paper, and it matches with the child so they can pick them up.
Now, I've also seen in churches where they're not sticky, disposable, but they're like laminated permanent cards.
Yes.
So, and they just use like safety pins to attach them. So that might be a little bit more economic because you do it once and you wouldn't have to throw it away every time.
That's true. That's totally true. Another issue in the safety department is that your room is equipped with tissues and wipes so that, you know, the little kids when they're teething and when they're older and they catch a cold, They're going to be sneezing, and you're going to want to have this handy and ready with you all the time. And along with this, you're going to want to keep on hand a variety of sizes of diapers. The parents, when they drop the children off and head to church, sometimes leave a diaper bag for you that you can also put the name on, or they don't. But you don't want a pooey, smelly, messy child playing with the other children in the room, and you don't want to hand them back to the parent, because something like that stuck on skin for an hour can make the skin so sore. Perhaps the parents don't want to come back to your church because it's hurt their child to be put in your nursery. So you have to be prepared with disposable diapers in lots of different sizes. And I know many churches also have kind of a large size outfit that's a unisex on hand for a spillover that goes into the clothing, so that you can put the clothing in a bag and send it home, and you've got something there to dress the child in so they can enjoy their time in the nursery. These are really handy. Not absolutely necessary. Soap, water, and bleach will do the same thing, but this is great because with disinfectant towelette, you can clean off tabletops, you can clean off chairs, you can clean off the toys that the children have put in their mouth and put their hands all over and gotten all dirty. This is the superintendent of the nursery, of the children's department, to do weekly. The children need to come into a clean nursery room every single time they come. And you also have to watch out for children with sicknesses.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want kids in your nursery that have colds and flus. When they're teething, it's going to look like they have a cold, but they don't. And so you can be sensitive about it, but you don't want every child in your nursery to go home sick because they spent an hour with one sick child. So you need to be alert to that and figure out how you're going to kindly tell the parent they can't drop that child off this week. And I know that's difficult. That's difficult, but the spread of sicknesses in the nursery can be just devastating. So you have to be very careful about that they're not with the other children. You also have to watch out for small toys, because they can stick them up their nose, they can swallow them. You can have disasters in your nursery, so you have to clear the room of anything dangerous.
Including if they bring their little toy.
Yes, you need a shelf. If they have a diaper bag with a name on it, you can put it there and put it out of reach, or you can just put it up high, because they will, if they're breakable, another child might break the toy or tear it apart and swallow a piece, and that can be devastating. Another danger in many nurseries are electric cords. I've got one here, and you use them for lights or sound equipment. You might have it on a tape player, but the cord that dangles down, a small child will crawl over to that and pull it, and they'll pull something down on their head. So you must be sure that nothing has dangly cords that they can pull on. They will. One other thing that's not mentioned in the book, but in my experiences, you need to be alert to children that are in a stage of biting, because you don't want the children to be crying and going home and telling mom and dad that they were bit in your nursery because nobody was watching close enough.
Right.
So be alert to Rebecca, who has a problem right now, and her parents are working on it at home, and they'll they'll take care of it eventually. But for a month or two, she's going to be in the urge to bite everybody. So that that child needs to be watched very closely and keep her occupied with
Very
toys.
nice.
And here's the last and most important is
Smells great.
Shell. You need to have some hand sanitizer. You're going to need to use it yourself all the time. And you're going to be alert to making sure that if you have the kids are eating, that they have some fun with a little drop of hand sanitizer that they can play with and smell and play with, so that your room is germ-free. And
So,
you are. After a diaper change especially.
Oh yeah. So before we finish this section on safety, I just want to also mention, if you're in a country where you can't afford to buy supplies, one thing you can do for instead of hand sanitizer would be maybe just to have the water and soap available.
Yes.
Because oftentimes the place to wash your hands would be too far from the classroom, so if you just bring a bucket with water, that would be something you could do. And also for the diaper, if you can't afford to buy diapers, you can ask that each parent who's bringing their child bring whatever it is they use, that they need to bring an extra one. And then you can just have some bags so that you can put the dirty one, if it's a cloth diaper, you can just put it in a bag and you send that dirty one home with the parents.
And you've
So,
got one on hand
That way you're
with the
not,
child's name.
yeah, and then you don't have to buy anything. Whatever they use, you ask them to bring an extra one to church. So that works, especially if you're having a special convention or something where you have long hours. You're going to want to have something extra, and you just can have the parents be responsible to bring something. So that would be a free way.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. So is that the end of our safety section here?
It really is. I didn't mention that I went to, for the same expense when I bought my tissues,
Mm-hmm.
I bought tissues that are antiviral. So they're cold care, and so that I would be extra careful not to catch cold myself. Okay, yes, that
All right.
that wraps up safety.
Very good. Thank you. Let's go to section 2.
Okay.
We have leadership now. So we're going to look at leadership for your nursery.
Yes. And of course we're talking to the leader, the children's director, ministry director, or the director of the nursery, whoever is in charge. One of the important things for the person in charge is that they recognize that the workers who are serving in the nursery are doing it for them. And you need to treat them with incredible kindness and respect, because although it's correct that they're doing it for God, they will stop doing it for God real quick if the director doesn't treat them kindly. And so that's going to be real important.
Yes.
And we are often asked how to get volunteers, because the best thing for the nursery is to have a schedule so that somebody only serves once a month or even once every 6 weeks. So you need a lot of people who are willing to give their time to watch over these little people that are so precious. And so you need a big list, and so you need to know how to get volunteers. Number 1, ask them.
Nice.
Don't wait for them to come to you. You need to recognize they have some skills, and they might not have any place that there's other place that they're serving. And God gives rewards to those who serve Him. And you are giving them the best gift, storing it up in heaven, when you give them an opportunity to come in and just work once a month and be in the nursery for
Amen.
you. And you need to, as the leader, to be very alert to what they're good at. And you give them a job that they're especially good at. Some may not interact well with little people, and they might get scared when a stranger's baby starts to cry. But they love the sign-in part. They like administration. They can do the name tags. They can keep track of allergies for the kids, another safety thing. That you need to know what the kids cannot have. If they're allergic to flour or milk or peanuts or something, you need somebody who keeps track of all that. You need somebody who can run the schedule of all the volunteers and call them on the phone and remind them that it's going to be their Sunday.
Oh yeah, reminders are my favorite. I don't particularly like doing the reminders, but I love getting a reminder when it's my turn.
And there's some people who would rather work at home and keep track of the schedule and make the phone calls. Perhaps they can gather the treat materials and set up the snacks for your kids. You need a different volunteer for that. Watch the people and see what they like to do and give them a job that lines up with that. And after they start working for you, a gift goes a long way. One of the workers in this office where I am put this on my desk, and I've kept it and thought sweetly of this gal every time I see it. Another person in this office gave me a note. They wrote me a little letter of appreciation, and it's Christy, she does this for me quite often, and it just makes me feel so good that I'm appreciated by her, and I know what I'm doing is a good thing with God. Another item, you can actually once in a while give them a gift. Maybe time is their love language, and you can offer to babysit their kids and let them go out to dinner.
Wow, that would be.
And it would show that you appreciate their service in your nursery. Nowadays, everybody's on Facebook and they're hooked up with
WhatsApp.
Or WhatsApp, and you can send them a quick little note that says that you saw some kids leaving the class really happy, and you know it's the teacher who caused that made them excited or not wanting to leave or happy to come. You can see the kids excited about going in. Send a note to the teacher and say, this week when the kids saw your face in the nursery, they ran in with excitement, and you know that teacher is doing such a good job. Let them know. Another thing, when I was working in a church, the director of the ministry had a luncheon, and he just did it once a month. You wouldn't have to do it that often, but invite them over to your house or have a lunch at church. Maybe a volunteer will make that lunch for you so that you can gather together and you can praise the teacher in front of everybody. That's worth 10 times more than a personal note, because they can feel so good that they're doing a great job in front of all their peers who are there too. And they can solve each other's problems. You can bring up in the group the issue that you're having, and maybe one of the workers that serves a different week solved that. And they can share, and that builds them up and makes them feel like they are knowledgeable, and they feel good about sharing and helping another teacher, and it solves the other teacher's problems so that they can enjoy their time in the classroom.
Well, one of my favorite ideas is the food, of course. Gathering, when I end up with teachers that don't want to come to the meeting, food can bring them in and be something nice you can give. And sometimes we could also do a meal where you invite their family, so their husband and their children can come eat, or their wife. And that makes it so they don't have to worry about feeding their family, and they love that.
Yes, yes. And they see that you value them. And that is an important ministry in the church. Often the nursery is forgotten in that department. That about covers what I think I had to say on
leadership.
On leadership.
Very good.
Let me check my notes and make sure, but I think I covered it.
Our section on leadership, and like any department in the church, it's better when you have a leader in charge who takes the vision seriously, that they're connecting those children to God.
I see one more thing that's important, and that's the leader is the advocate for all the volunteers and teachers. She's the one He's the one that goes to the pastor with issues
Oh, okay.
and stands up for the teachers. If they need supplies, if they need some help, if they need, if they had a death in their family and they need a break. And they don't need to go to the pastor and talk to him. It's the superintendent of the children's ministry and leading the nursery that has that responsibility to be the advocate with the pastor.
All right, so that's great. Final point there for leadership. Thank you for sharing about leadership with us today, Vicki.
Uh-huh.
All right. Now we will go to section number 3 on our book. We're looking at Taking Care of the Nursery, that's written by Angie Kangas. And we have Vicki Kangas with us here today, sharing on the nursery. All right, so we're going to look at section 3 now, the Bible story. What can you share with us about the Bible story?
Many times in the nursery, the Bible story is skipped, and that's a mistake. The children can have a lot of fun and be introduced to God and how much He loves them through a Bible story. It can be short, and it needs to have some visuals because the kids aren't into just sitting and listening like older ones are, so that would be a big mistake. There's all kinds of ways to make it fun with visuals. One of the ways that Angie put in her book is to use puppets. You can buy a puppet. We offer some with our materials, or you can just get an old sock.
Nice.
And there you have a puppet, and he can tell the Bible story.
Fun.
So he can tell about how Jesus went to the water. And maybe the puppet is scared of water. He doesn't swim. So he can be real interested in the story as the teacher tells the story. And he can interact with it and say things that the kids are thinking. Try and think ahead what the kids are thinking about it. That, yeah, I like the splash. That kind of thing. Now that's one type of puppet. Here's another one, even more simple. This is 2 styrofoam balls on a little tiny piece of pipe cleaner. And he's a puppet. And he can talk. And he can tell the story. And he can look at the kids and say, oh, good listening, Jose. Wow. Do you already know this story? So your puppet can be involved in it. And in a preschool, I saw a teacher who had forgotten to bring her puppet with her. And so she was up a creek, and the kids weren't listening very well to the story. So she found a puppet right here. She talked with her ear.
Oh,
hello, Christine.
nice.
And she told the story with her ear. And she pretended she...
Okay, can you do an example for us right here?
Hello. I know Jesus. He loves me.
Nice.
Does he love you? Oh, that's so good. Yippee. Another thing to pull the attention of the kids is to change your voice. I did a little bit with the ear as a puppet, but when God speaks, you can use your great big voice. God says, I love you. And the little girls, they wanted to climb in Jesus' lap. And the disciples said, no, send those little kids away. Show me your ugly face. Pretend you're the disciples, you're sending the kids away. I want to see ugly faces on all the kids. Jennifer, that's the best ugly face. Oh, you really did good. And what did Jesus say? the children come unto me. Let them come, I love them. For the kingdom belongs to them. It's not just for you big guys, it's for these little guys too. So change your voice, make it little, change actions, get the kids involved with the Bible story. And that's going to help your story be told. But that's not the only way. What if Jesus and his disciples are going to go out on a boat? You could tell, these are slices of apples. And it has a toothpick and a sail. And with the snack, you can tell the story. And the kids are all excited because they see they're going to get to eat a piece of boat. They're going to have some apple. That's great. But, well, you know, one day, Jesus was talking, and the people got hungry. And he told his disciples, go out there and find some food for them. You can find some food for them. All they could find was a little boy, just like you, who had a lunch. And he had 5 barley buns in it. So I have a basket, and it has 5 barley buns in it, in this basket. I wonder if that's enough to feed this whole class in the nursery. What do you think, guys? Will we be able to share this? Will this be enough for the whole class?
No.
In a minute, we're going to find out. We're going to see. We're going to see if this will be enough, if we can share this. And then we're going to imagine when they picked it up, the mess they had. I think 12 basketfuls of leftovers after everybody was full. So you can tell the story with food. That's what I'm demonstrating. Our curriculum, although it's not written for the nursery, I recommend the superintendent get a hold of it because it's got these ideas in it for the older kids to use. And you can adapt them very easily to the nursery. So that ideas like this will be in the material. You also can use characters. This character is from our ant curriculum where he's digging in the ground, subterranean. And this character is from our VBS about climbing the mountain in the snow. And he's a moose. He can come, you can get any kind of animal to help you tell the story. Even if one isn't in the story, you can put them in. Because there must have been some dogs that followed the kids.
There must have been.
To sit and listen to Jesus. So the dog could be there, and when he has something to say, the children can help say it. So they can bark. So
nice.
What did he say? And the kids will say, ruff, 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 ruff. Or bark, 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 bark. Depends on what kind of dog you've got. Help it tell the story. Bring items that do tell the story. This is a rock. It didn't cost me anything. I just went and found a rock.
Free is always good.
But there are rocks all over in the Bible. And every time as you're reading the Bible story and preparing what you're going to tell, bring something the kids can see. Even if it's as simple as a rock.
Nice. So these are ways to get the Bible story. There's more?
There's more.
Oh my goodness.
There's songs that you can sing.
Yes.
You can memorize Bible verses with songs. The songs for nursery kids need to be very repetitive. And they need to be simple. So you can make one up, you can adjust one, or you can... I can think of quite a few in Spanish, unfortunately. Nothing comes to mind right away for English.
We were talking about maybe Father Abraham. We could do Father Abraham had many sons.
That works if you're teaching Genesis to the kids. That's great. And it also involves some movement. You can't let the kids sit too long. And you can never let them sit and sit and sit and sit. So our next section is going to be about movement, and I'm going to be addressing that. I think we've covered it.
All right, so that's section.
We've got objects. This guy. This guy is Suki's Frederick, and he represents for me just a doll. I would bring a Barbie doll or a Ken doll, something that I can find secondhand, and I would dress my Ken doll to be Peter, and he would show up and talk and act out the stories. And that allows the kids to act them out too, because that can be part of the toys that you have available during toy time, centers, during centers. And they can dress them. There's actually a Mary doll out there that I bought for Suki when she was little, and it came in Mary clothes, and we could pretend she was different Marys in the Bible, not just Mama, but she was part of the story. So
Nice.
that's also something that you need a visual to go with your story.
So basically we've got food, puppets, and toys or stuffed animals, and even just using your ear or a rock to visualize or sounds.
When Moses was found in the Nile, don't you think there were ducks around? Okay, kids, what does a duck sound like? So all the kids can quack and as you're telling the story of baby Moses, or Jesus on the Lake of Galilee, or fishermen out not getting any fish, there'll be ducks around. The most important thing for the teacher, I should have said this in every section, is to have fun. And this represents to me having fun. And I wear silly hats.
Oh, nice.
To have fun. And when I'm talking about climbing the mountain in the snow, I just want the kids to know this is a fun place. And we're all having fun. And the teacher needs to have fun too, and not be a sourpuss who's telling everybody to be quiet all the time.
Well, especially when they're 2 years old. They can't really be
No,
quiet.
they can't. And it's your fault if they're not interested enough in what you're saying. All of a sudden, you got to bring something out. And they'll stop and look at you. You have their attention again, you can keep going. Get them involved. You guys quack too.
Good. All right, so that's section 3 on the Bible story in the nursery book, Taking Care of the Nursery with Vicki. All right, thank you.
I don't know how we're doing the time.
All right, now we're going to start section 4 on movement for the nursery book. We're here with Vicki Kangas, and we're doing the book by Angie Kangas, Taking Care of Your Nursery. So we're going to dive in here. Section 4 is movement. What do you have to share with us?
Unlike the other classes for older kids, movement is important in the nursery. And you have to consider it. So one thing that happens sometimes is you want to move the whole class. You want to take them outside, you want to take them to the bathroom, you want to walk them by a drinking fountain, or you want to move the whole class. How to do that well? I have a little rope. This will work. You can use a big rope from the older kids' tug-of-war games. You can borrow it, but this will work. And so each child grabs a hold of the rope, and the teacher has the other end. You can picture them.
All lined up on the rope.
All lined up on the
Yes.
rope. All hanging onto the rope. They can't let go of the rope. That's the rule. And you can play choo-choo train. They could chug with their arm and say chug, 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 doot, doot. Turn the corner, chug,
Right.
chug, 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 chug. And it can be fun, but you've got them all grouped together. And you can move them easily this way. The other part of movement is what I mentioned previously, that you can't have 2 sit-down activities in a row. So if you had 2 of them planned, like Bible story or maybe snack, and they're both sit-down activities, you got to do some movement in between, because the little people in the preschool age group cannot. I mean, they can't. It's impossible. Look at the way God made them and cooperate with that. Don't require a 3-year-old to act like a 9-year-old. They can't.
Yeah.
They can't do it. So you need some movement activities. That's where Hokey Pokey comes in. Because they can all get up and move to that, put on the music if you're able to, or do it without the music. And we've done some great things in our Spanish curriculum with movement activities, where the kids can dance around and act like a dog, or they can do a song like Father Abraham, or you can do a song where they reach down, touch the ground, turn around, and praise the Lord. They can do something like that. You have to have them moving.
Yeah.
And music is a great way.
In our Galaxy Express VBS, we have a song that Our God is Great, and there's 5 actions for who God is, and they're all with movement, so that would work.
That's
so
available
incredible.
in English. Yes. Yes, not just Spanish. Very good. I'm going to glance at my notes here for movement. There it is.
I like doing actions to songs, and I think you do too. It's one of the easiest ways to get movement in class, are actions to songs, and they are available all over the internet.
Don't chastise, chew out the kids if they don't sing along and do the actions. Just keep repeating it, and pretty soon you'll see them join in.
Well, we're talking nursery, so you're going to have some 1-year-olds and 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds. So, but they love it, and we've got lots of new albums. We just are getting released now our new VBS on the jungle, surviving the jungle. We have 8 brand new songs, and they all have actions, so that also is fun to use.
And the kids love to act like animals. You can introduce this even if it doesn't relate to something, where everybody's going to be a bear, and then everybody's going to be a mouse.
Yeah.
And then everybody is going to be a frog. Watch where you jump. You don't want to jump on somebody. And bunny rabbits can jump too, and kangaroos can jump, and snakes can wiggle. And just, if you can't think of a bunch of animals, bring a little note card with you that has lots of little animals and some noises that go with it. So the kids can have some fun and move. That's the important part. They have to move, be able to move, because then they can sit down again and listen. They can play follow the leader. You might have a child old enough able to be the leader, but then if you do, and you assign them to be a leader on the 4th or 5th round, make sure that the teachers all join in. And they follow too.
Okay.
That's important. Everybody's having fun in the
We like
classroom.
to stop and take a break in the class. No breaks for the teacher.
Right, no sitting down and watching from the back.
Right.
Be involved with the kids. Come prepared to do that. Come prayed up and ready to have fun with the kids.
Very good.
You can also just have a wiggle time, where, and you can
Everybody wiggle.
Everybody wiggle.
Wiggle.
Somebody doesn't want to wiggle. Oh, wiggle with me! Wiggle with big wiggle, big wiggle. See, I grabbed a hold of her and helped her. And sometimes the kids need that.
Yeah.
And they think it's fun. And it's not, don't be aggressive or anything. Just make sure that you get the wiggles out. See if they can wiggle their toes. Can you wiggle your legs? Can you wiggle your middle? Can you wiggle your up? Can you wiggle your arms?
Nice.
Who can wiggle the most? But you've got to get the wiggles going for the kids. Another thing that they like to be involved with is hand games and rhythm games. So you do it. Good. Let's try it again. Let's see, let's think of something else.
Whoa.
All these things make different noises. You can make running through the grass noises. You can make climbing up a hill.
Ah.
You can make running. And the kids can run with you with their hands on their legs or
Nice.
on the floor. They can be sitting on the floor and legs floor. Makes a fun rhythm noise, and they enjoy that. They can do it.
So section 5 for taking care of your nursery is centers. Can we move on down here and take a look?
We can, or we
Very
can
good.
move this up.
No, this is
Okay. For centers, it's kind of a free play time, and you set up different corners in your room with things that kids enjoy. So one corner may have blocks in it, and the kids can build because
Okay.
they like that. And you can use it in your Bible story time too if you build something. And another thing that kids really enjoy is playing with sand.
So just a second, what I learned when I had centers in my classroom was that they could choose, and I don't know if that's something that you
Yes.
recommend, where
I
you
do.
have a couple of centers, 2, 3, 4, or even more,
Yes.
depending on how many children, and then when they come in, they can choose. Now that's if it's at the beginning of class, right? But you can have different times. So say someone likes the blocks, or they like playing with balloons, or whatever you have, they get to choose where they go. So you're going to show us various different stations they have, and they go simultaneously, right? So you're going to have them available, and then the kids choose. Something about the choosing, I think, helps the children really enjoy what they're doing because they got to choose it.
And they see who else in the classroom is going to be a good friend because they choose the same thing. So they relate right off.
Right, and they make friends too as they're playing, so.
I did want to point out though that you mentioned balloons. That does not belong in this age group.
Ah, right.
They pop and scare them,
That would
they'll
be,
cry, and then they'll eat the broken pieces. So it's not for
Good
this
point.
age group.
Yes, yes.
But I would have a section, a part of the area where I had these stuffed animals available and the doll to dress and act out stories, so they can play with this in one place. I would have another section where they have the food, and they can build food things. They love that. And that will be of high interest for some of the students
Right.
to make things. So we made wells for Joseph to be dropped into pretzels in one of our curriculums, and you can tie it in however you see, but bring some food for them to play with and make things out of. Not just fish to eat. And I've seen that a lot, but the fish needs to go in the water or with a boat or something if it's going to be part of the center. I brought some building things that were just a toy that we got at Denny's. And they can hook them together and build things, and
Nice.
that's kind of fun. Duplos make a good preschool block. That's a large variety of Legos that they can build with. Some of the kids need a little art center, so make some paper available and let them. Don't bring pens that don't wash out of clothing. These pencils are erasable and washable, and this is washable. You want to make sure that you don't bring something that's going to permanently ruin their Sunday clothes.
Right.
But an art center, and sometimes you can have like cereal that they can string and make a necklace out of. Things like that are fun.
Very fun.
And I brought the sand because I know that playing in the sand is so much fun.
Yeah.
So the boys can make roads. 2 fingers run through the sand makes a road.
Oh yeah.
And the girls love to make mud pies. toys out of the sand. They can bake, and they can cook, and they can stir up some tortilla dough or whatever out of the
Right.
sand and make things and play with that.
Right.
I recommend that you put a cloth under your sand area.
Ah,
And when it's cleanup time, there's going to be some spillage. But you can just gather the corners of the cloth up, trap the sand inside, dump it back into your sand thing, and it's fine for next time.
nice.
And that's a lot of fun. Some Sunday schools have actually brought in water to play with.
Ooh.
And kids love.
How do you play with the water?
Well, it's the same way.
Ah.
You can pour it and fill containers and then fill other containers, and you can splash in it a little bit, and it's fun.
They probably can make things float, make little boats or whatever.
Yeah, you can. You can make all
Very
kinds of
nice.
things with it. So you can have all these different centers in your classroom. You might want to make some Play-Doh or something so they can make snakes or something like that out of it. You can vary it so that it's not the same all the time.
Right. Very good.
So that is, let's see if I covered them all. Tactile is, they like to make messes. I have brought in before little containers of pudding and given the students that went to that center a plate, and they can put the pudding and then they can draw in the pudding. They can also eat it, but they
Yeah.
can draw in it, and they can chocolate pudding is the best road making and mud and
Yes.
things, and they can
Very good.
play in that, and they like the feel of it with their hands. Make sure you have the towelettes ready to wash with, or a wet washcloth, or a bowl of water with soap afterwards, but they will enjoy it very much.
Very nice. So the centers is maybe optional because it maybe is a little more expensive, but it really helps with some playtime at church. Yeah. Because really you cannot have a class for a 2-year-old where you're talking to them for the hour.
I've seen them
Unique.
sit with their legs spread and roll a ball back and forth.
Oh,
And 22 kids too, and they enjoy that.
Yeah. Very good. Well, thank you, Mom, or Vicki, for sharing with us this workshop on nursery. So this is great ideas to help with the nursery, and we just hope and pray that you have a great time with your nursery. If you have any questions for Vicki, you're welcome to write us. You can put them here in the comments or later. And we just pray that you have a great time in your nursery and that you share the gospel with the children, that they learn who God is,
Yes.
that He loves them, and that builds a foundation in their life for later being able to understand and grasp more about who God is.
And you can picture a nursery like this. The kids will want to come back
Yes.
every week. Bring a friend.
Well, and it's ideal when the children are going, Mom, I got to go to church. Even when they're 3 years old.
Yes.
No, we have to go to church. Yeah.
Far better than be quiet and sit at my feet.
Yes, that's hard.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Vicki. It's been a good workshop, and we're looking forward to putting some of these ideas into practice.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. All right, we'll see you next time.